my Commonwealth life had been spent in the anti-apartheid cause. It was a thank you from an ineffable source that I appropriated to the Commonwealth as well. And on that day of Thanksgiving for Mandela's life, I reflected on how much more we might have achieved in the Commonwealth had Margaret Thatcher carried over to South Africa and to apartheid the commitment to black majority rule that had made the ending of UDI in Rhodesia possible at Lusaka in 1979. Nelson Mandela, in my view, could have been freed from apartheid's prisons as much as 5 years earlier than he was. What would that have meant for him? What would it have meant for South Africa? What would it have meant for the world? Can you take another passage? Well, then let me end on a slightly lighter note, as indeed I ended the book itself. From chapter 28, Journey's End. And it is this. In 1996, Nelson Mandela, now President of South Africa, made a state visit to Britain as guest of the Queen. John Major was Prime Minister, and President Mandela stayed at Buckingham Palace, and the Queen's private office was in control of his program of engagements. By then, 8 British universities had already invited President Mandela to accept honorary degrees. Warwick University, of which I was Chancellor, was one of them. With a state visit looming, each university conveyed their wish for space in the program for their special convocation. When the palace received notice of them all, it convened a meeting of representatives of all 8 universities and made it clear that there was no possibility of multiple convocations. The private office said that the Queen had been consulted and had proposed a single degree ceremony on the lawns of Buckingham Palace, where all 8 universities would confer their honorary degrees simultaneously on President Mandela. Now, Oxford was one of the 8, and Lord Jenkins was its Chancellor. His representative had instructions from the Chancellor to oppose any arrangements which involved the conferment of an honorary degree by Oxford outside precincts of Oxford. It had never happened in Oxford's long history, it was explained. Oxford would have problems with the arrangement proposed. All the others agreed with a single ceremony. The private office undertook to convey Oxford's problem to the Queen. The answer came back that Oxford's problem was understood, but Her Majesty considered it a problem for Oxford. The ceremony would proceed with those universities that could participate. That, of course, was an end of the battle. Oxford found out that there had in fact been a precedent, and they would join the other universities, which they did. And so on the 10th of July, 1996, a once-over dais rose from the steps of Buckingham Palace, leading to the lawns around, which were arranged in a huge semicircle, seating for representatives, including students, of all 8 universities, whose chancellors, vice-chancellors, and public orators were arrayed in a counterpart semicircle on the dais. It really was a magnificent spectacle, a galaxy of academic robes in this majestic constellation, and on a day of glorious summer sunshine. Very few, if any of those on the dais knew personally the great man about to be honored. Everyone except me. And as the proceedings started, Prince Philip, as Chancellor of Cambridge, led President Mandela out of the open doors of the palace to join us all already on the dais. As each university was called, the appropriate orator addressed the President for no more than 5 minutes and ended by inviting the Chancellor to confer their honorary degree. The Oxford oration was read to the President in peerless Latin. And so was the oration by Cambridge. When Warwick's turn came, I started by explaining to our guests that given our personal relationship, I would address him myself and not through the public orator. And I added that I would do it in a language he could understand. When I finished by conferring Warwick's honorary degree, I offered my hand in congratulation, but received from Mandela a spontaneous familial embrace. A photograph of that moment, which Warwick cherishes as much as I do, is in the book. To make matters worse for the others, I took a wrong turning in going back to my place and had to occupy more time retracing my steps amid cheers from the Warwick benches. University rivalries being what they are, Warwick considered that we had stolen the show. Now, I confess that had not been my intent. But like so much else recorded in this book, it happened with the flow of events. I began this book with lines from a favorite author. I ended with verse from a favorite poet. In a passing glimpse, Robert Frost wrote reflectively, I often see flowers from a passing car that are gone before I can tell what they are. I want to get out of the train